The North American Caribbean Training Method was started earlier this year in 2020. And the purpose of the program is to give Caribbean coaches in the United States and Canada an opportunity to come together, train, and work with players.
We are going to spread this throughout the United States. This has been a dream of coaches of Caribbean descent in America for a very, very long time. And we have now to work and to get these kids to a different level.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Black Soccer Membership Podcast. My name is Justin Reed. I will be your host for today. And I've got a special guest. It's a person that is a friend of the association, and he's a friend of mine as well. Marcus Trevor McIntosh. He is actually in Carriacou. And it actually took me a bit of time to kind of pronunciate the word Carriacou because I'd never heard of the island before. But he is located off of the coast of Grenada. He's also the former technical director of the Grenada Football Association, as well as the founder of the Grenada Sport and Wellbeing Foundation. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. So Marcus, how's everything going?
Everything's going okay over here. We've just had a couple more cases in Grenada, but I guess all is under control. But we still all got to do the relatively precautions and follow protocol.
Yeah, I think I read an article on Facebook, and I think it said something about Grenada possibly shutting down the borders again, which would be pretty insane. So, I mean, of course, we hope that the COVID cases do not spread there. It's such a small island, and it's also a beautiful island where a lot of people love to visit.
Yeah, but where I am in Carriacou, we haven't had any cases.
Okay, that's good. That's fantastic. And I hope that it stays like that. So just so our audience knows, we're going to be a little slightly delayed because he is in Carriacou and the Wi-Fi connection may not be as strong. But if everybody can hit the like button and also hit the share button, this will be great so that we can spread this interview all over the internet. So Marcus, I want to get started. And first question I want to ask is, can you give us a little history about yourself? How did you get involved with football? Where are you from originally?
Well, my life started off in football when I lived in London. In school, I played rugby. I played probably nearly every sport tried to play it. And one day playing for my school rugby club, one of the local football team of the school was short of players and ended up going and play for them. And I ended up getting man of the match, which was a surprise to me. And soon after the match, a guy came up to me and told me he was the chief scout of Fulham Football Club. And that's how my journey started.
That's amazing. That's not like the typical journey of like someone who starts off playing football at a young age and then kind of grows up to continue to play the sport. So that's pretty interesting. Can you tell us how you got to Grenada? I do know that you were hired as the technical director for the Grenada Football Association. Can you give us a little background on how you got there and just how it went being a technical director of an association?
I got association out there, and whilst I was there, I was contacted by the Grenada Football Association to tell me that they had a vacancy going at their offices at their association in Grenada. They heard about me through a player that plays for the national team in Australia. He lives in Australia. And I thought about it for a while. And I thought, okay, this seems a good opportunity. So I took up the challenge and came back to Grenada, where I'm actually from.
Okay. Didn't know that. Yeah, I thought, you only had ties in London, and it so happened that you actually came to Grenada because you got that opportunity. So I know you.
Yeah, I was born in London, but came to live in Carriacou when I was young. Me, I think I would have been about 6 months old, and then I left Carriacou and went back to London when I was about 7. About 6 or 7, back to London. So I grew up with my grandparents in Carriacou.
Okay, fantastic.
And that's my affiliation to Grenada. So when I got that call, it was like, right, I'm coming back home.
Now, do you prefer living in London or living in Carriacou? Which one is better?
I've lived in various parts of the world, which I was only discussing that with my sister today. And I've got to say that Carriacou has always been in my blood. From ever since I was young, it was the first place I knew. And they always say that somehow you always return to what you know. And hence I'm back in Carriacou. And I'm thoroughly enjoying being back here and enjoying the lifestyle. As they say, I'm living the dream.
Look, I mean, you don't have to worry about snow like me, right? My area just got hit with snow yesterday. You don't have to worry about the cold, the wind of London, the cloudy days every single day. So I'm sure you're enjoying the island life, to say.
Very much so. I've got to say that I'm a sun baby. I follow the sun. I couldn't on the ground. Seriously, you're looking probably 14 years. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because even though I was living in Australia, we never had snow.
Yeah, I mean, that's a beautiful
You'd
place.
have to go to Melbourne, to see snow.
So, tell us a bit about the Grenada Sport and Wellbeing Foundation. When did you found the organization, and exactly what is the mission and what's the purpose?
Well, after I resigned from the Grenada Football Association, I thought, what should I do? Should I go back to Australia, or should I take up? I had a few offers from other islands and other job offers around the world, and I thought to myself, sat down with some friends and discussed what I should do. And they said, well, you were doing such a good job as the technical director. We think that you should stay and continue what you're doing. And I thought to myself, but how am I going to do that? And one of my colleagues says, form your own foundation. That way you will be able to implement the programs that you've written. And I thought, what a great idea. And a group of us came together and we formed the Grenada Sports and Wellbeing Foundation to create space for young children, because there's a lot of talented children here in Grenada and Martinique. But what I found out that, yes, there's an abundance of talent in Grenada, but yet again, on the other two islands in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, we're faced with a challenge. There are talented children there too, who are not getting the opportunities. So we thought to ourselves, okay, although it's called the Grenada Sports and Wellbeing Foundation, we actually concentrate on the children in Carriacou and the neighboring island, Petit Martinique. And we started a program I would say it's never been done before, what we're actually doing, where we concentrate on all sports, because not every young child wants to be a footballer. Not every young child wants to be an athlete. But so we concentrate on we think football, athletics, and we concentrate on that, and to create pathways for them to get scholarships abroad, or to get trials in teams in Europe, or it could also be in a college in the US.
That's fantastic, because I know that recently you'd mentioned a track athlete who went to Jamaica. You'd mentioned that to me, I believe, on a full scholarship. How did the...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We took a young guy who was having difficulties with his life, skipping school. He got himself in trouble where he ended up in juvenile center. We took him into our program because he was such a talented athlete, but he just needed some kind of guidance. So I took him in, and he was with us for a year and a half, almost 2 years, and we were coaching him. And I saw his potential, so I reached out to the colleges in Jamaica and the colleges in the US to show them how good this. A couple of colleges in Jamaica came on board, and we end up getting him a full scholarship at Jamaica College in Kingston.
Nice.
Since after that, we had a young lady, another young female athlete. She's gone out to Jamaica as well, and come January next year, we'll have another 2 female athletes going to Jamaica.
Oh, wow.
So COVID has been good to us in a funny way.
Yeah, and that's amazing, because usually when you think of athletes out of the Caribbean, you usually hear Jamaican track stars, or you hear Trinidad and Tobago athletes. But this is fantastic to hear that we've got such talent.
Yes, you do, and not let's forget that Carriacou is only 13 square miles.
Wow.
So to get 4 top athletes from this island, well, just say from Grenada, because they're the best at their age group in Grenada, but they're actually from this island of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, So it's a massive achievement that's happened here.
It is, and Carriacou, of course, being such
it created. That's right. It created such a buzz that it was also mentioned in the Houses of Parliament here in Grenada. Okay. That's how much it. It's never been done before. Yeah, it's never been achieved before. So we could actually, COVID has really been good to us in that type of form.
Well, at least there's some good out of COVID, because it's been just a year to forget, so I'm happy that we're able to get athletes out of Carriacou and give them an opportunity to apply their traits overseas in other countries, so that's definitely a fantastic thing. There's a picture of Prince Harry. Prince Harry, of course, I don't think he's still considered the prince. I know he and Meghan Markle, they're now living in, I believe, California somewhere. But he actually came to your foundation. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that visit went? How the heck did you get in touch with Prince Harry? I think that's pretty cool.
Well, what actually happened? It was whilst I was working for the Grenada for the Grenada Football Association. I was asked to put on a program for him whilst he was coming here to visit in Grenada. That's how it came about. But before that, I actually worked for his mother's foundation in the UK.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. So I guess that they did their homework and found that I was working in Grenada. And next thing I knew, I was contacted by the ministry to organize this football program for when he arrived. And myself and him had a good chat, and we talk about that. Yes, it was very nice of him. So that's how it all came about.
That's very cool. That's very cool. And speaking of ties to the UK, I know that you were the co-founder, or you are the co-founder of Hillsboro Town FC. It is an amateur club. Yep, it's an amateur club, I believe, that you just co-founded in Carriacou. And I believe that you all are set to begin play sometime next year in 2021. Can you tell us a little bit more about that project and how everything is going?
Well, what happened, whilst being here in Carriacou, I saw that there was some good, talented young footballers, but there's not a league for them to play in. So I thought, how are we going to get these young footballers playing regularly? And in March, when COVID came in, it gave me the perfect time to think about how we're going to structure this, to set up this football club so that young players on the island can play. And so I reached out to a group of friends of mine who were in the UK, but they also have their allegiance to Carriacou, where some were born here or some are married to women who are from the island, but they live abroad. It even stretched out as far as Australia. So we formed this football club and put a proper structured committee together to form the club, and we called it Hillsboro Town Football Club, because nothing has ever happened like this before on the island, because we got to remember, water separates us from Grenada. So then it becomes a huge challenge for a club to go down and play in Grenada because of the financial. We put the and so far, to our surprise and our amazement, it's actually come together very well, where we have now secured ourselves a titled sponsor, which is a hotel that is going to be built here starting, I think, from January of next year. Is going to start building, which is called the Hartman Group. They've come on board. They saw what we are trying to do. And it's not going to be like your normal football club that you get in Grenada. It's actually going to be, we're actually going to be the first structured football club in Grenada, because teams in Grenada, when you win the league, you've got this great opportunity to play in CONCACAF Champions League. But because of they're not structured properly, it's very difficult for them to play, because some of them don't even have home grounds. Luckily for us in Carriacou, we have all those facilities. So if we were to go on and win the league, the Premier League in Grenada, we could play in the Champions League in CONCACAF, because we've got our own ground, we've got our own facilities here, which is a fantastic facilities. Mm-hmm. And we're going to try to actually run the club like if it's, say, for instance, Leeds United, where the fans and the community gets involved with the club. Mm-hmm. Who are from Carriacou and various other islands surrounding Carriacou can also get involved in the club. And by us running we're going to have a YouTube channel. We're going to form our own TV channel so that people can follow the club. And also it brings in advertisement and revenue for the club, mm-hmm. which in Grenada, this does not exist. Mm. You know, everything seems to be relying so much heavily on the FA to...
You know, and that's very interesting, because, I mean, you guys could be the blueprint for the way leagues and the way the football club should be operating, because I will agree with you. I mean, it just seems like the Caribbean tends to have a lot of heavy focus on the FAs and FIFA, and they want them to fund everything. Whenever you launch a club, which, I've been a part of, several clubs that have launched, we have, pinpointed that there's about 8 to 9 revenue streams that can happen. I don't think that the Caribbean quite understands that. I think they kind of sit their sights on the FA and them getting money from FIFA, and that being the only source of revenue. What other things are you guys going to be doing in terms of making sure that the club is going to be financially stable and is going to be sustainable for a long term?
Well, if you can picture, say, for instance, a football club in the UK, we'll be having memberships. We'll be throwing raffles, like when you come through the game, have raffle tickets. You could have different forms of sponsorships. You could have sponsor a player. Advertisement around the ground when we play at home. All these things are what we're going to do, and these things don't happen in Grenada. Right. So as you said earlier, we are actually going to be the blueprint of the way forward for football to be structured in Grenada. Trinidad, there's well, to a certain degree, depending on what's going on in Trinidad at the moment, but it has a professional league. So what we were finding that quite a few of the players in Grenada go to Trinidad to play. Jamaica has its own professional league. So players from different parts of the world go and play there. The good thing about what we're trying to do at Hillsboro Town FC is that players can live abroad. They can come and play for the club also. So you take, for instance, a guy living in Canada or a guy living in America, and he's been trying to get into the national team setup of Grenada, and they will open the door for him to come to Carriacou, live here, and play for the club, so that the head coach of the national teams can see them play.
And that's interesting that you say that, because we have actually helped to promote a program called the North America Caribbean Training Method. And part of that program is to connect North America with the Caribbean. I think one of the biggest issues that we have is the Caribbean, they don't really utilize, it doesn't seem like the FAs utilize their resources in North America and the UK. So that's an outstanding thing that you guys are doing by giving someone of Grenadian descent an opportunity to come down and play for the club and then get seen. This way, the Grenadian scouts or the national team coaches don't have to come up to, say, the US to take a look at this player. That player will be right there. So I think that right there is kind of groundbreaking.
That's right.
Because you are now connecting the club in Carriacou with the UK, with the United States. So you're already connecting based upon the name, which is fantastic. So maybe in the future, this club now can go to the UK and play games against top competition, right? Which will then give them the experience.
That's the whole idea.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and it would also give our younger players an opportunity to go over to clubs in Canada, in London, and you never know, get a trial for one of these clubs, because certain people can see them play on our, because we're going to stream a lot of the games too, so people will be able to see the games live that we play.
Yeah.
Through the streaming channels that we're going to have.
Right. And that helps, of course, to build up the fan base and the branding in terms of the club. That's right. That's fantastic stuff, Marcus. And we need more forward thinkers like yourself in the Caribbean, because I think the Caribbean can be very backwards at times. We have worked directly with associations, some of them in the Caribbean, and it takes a lot. It's like pulling teeth. It really does. It takes a lot to kind of help them to change their mindset, to understand, look, this world of football is much bigger than your little island, right? And you just can't think about what's going on your island, and you can't really have that mindset. You got to think the world, and you got to think, how can you compete against the world?
Absolutely.
Football is the world language, right?
Yeah, because even with the club, we're even going to have an online shop where we'll be selling merchandise. I went to a football final in Grenada recently, and you wouldn't even know who the supporters are until they started shouting, because none of them are wearing the teams that were in the finals. No one's wearing their shirts.
Right. Yeah.
At least when HTFC goes and plays a game in Grenada, or it's playing at home, there will be people sitting there with their HTFC football shirts on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy for you to identify who they are and who they support.
Right. And that alone, something simple like that is groundbreaking in the Caribbean. I mean, you don't really go. I mean, I've visited Trinidad and Tobago multiple times. You know, that's where my family's from. And I've gone to games they call it a pro league, but a lot of those players actually don't get paid. Some of them don't even get paid on time. But you go to these games, and not only are there not that many people in the stands, you don't know, sometimes you don't even know the name of the team that's playing because there's no branding. You know, there's no branding. You don't know who the home team is. So, you know, I'm extremely happy that that HTFC is doing this. We need a blueprint in the Caribbean, not just for Grenada to follow, but the entire Caribbean to follow. Because again, football is much bigger than their little island, you know, and they definitely have to change their mindset.
It is, because from a little island where we're from, you know, Carriacou and Petit Martinique, you ask a young child here if he's been to Grenada to watch the national team play, for instance. He'll tell you no, he's never been to watch a national team play in the stadium. So what we're going to be doing in Carriacou is giving that young child that feeling like if he's gone to a professional game, just by what we will be doing at the when we play at home. You know, it's going to make them feel that they're watching, you know, watching a professional team play.
Right.
And in those that are coming up to Carriacou to experience what it is like to be playing in front of a good crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing about us here in Carriacou, they love their sports and they will turn out to watch it. As long as you're doing something good, they will come and watch. And it is something that I can't even wait for it to get started. I can't wait for the first ball to be kicked up here, you know. And I hope that, I really hope that the first game that we play is at home and not away, because we will have a very good crowd here.
Absolutely, and I can just feel the passion in your voice, and I know the anticipation on the island is just brewing, you know, on a daily basis. So I definitely want to congratulate on that. And what can we do, I guess, as an association to support what you're doing down there? I know we've got some equipment that's going to be heading your way pretty soon for the grassroots program. But what else can we do as an association to support you?
Just let people know what we're actually doing and to support the initiative that we're doing. We're still looking for sponsors, you know, to come on board to help us, because at the end of the day, as I said earlier, we are separated by water. So there's a lot of traveling costs going back and forth to Grenada, but it's something that the island of Carriacou and Petit Martinique needs for us to be going and playing on a regular basis in Grenada. That also brings a lot of, it's what you call sports tourism to the island. You know, the clubs down there in Grenada, probably this will be a great opportunity for them to come and experience what Carriacou offers. So we're looking for people like yourself to actually help us to develop what we're going to be doing.
You know, absolutely. I mean, we're, you know, in support of you 1,000%, you know, so you don't have to worry about that at all. Whatever you need, just let us know. And if we've got it, we will help you in terms of a resource, because we understand how it is to grow an organization from the ground up. Like, you need support. You can't do it on your own, so we're definitely there to support you as much as you can. So as much as you can. So in closing, can you tell our audience a bit more as far as where they can find information on the Grenada Sports and Wellbeing Foundation, as well as HTFC?
You could check us out on our website page, which is Grenada Sports and Wellbeing Foundation. Grenada Sports Wellbeing.org. The Hillsboro Town Football Club, HTFC, on Facebook. We are just in the process of building our website webpage, and also in the process of launching the TV channel and the YouTube channel at the moment. So once that's up and running, you'll be able to get us on those formats also.
Okay.
And on Facebook. The Facebook page is launched already.
Fantastic, Marcus. And we're going to make sure that we post it once when we send this interview out. So that's going to be posted as well. So we want to thank you, Marcus, for coming on today, coming on to the show. What you're doing down there, like I said before, is groundbreaking, and it's a different mindset, and it's a mindset that's needed in the Caribbean, because I can't say it enough. The Caribbean has to get out of the mindset of their little island. They've got to think about football and sports in general as a world event. And I think when they can start thinking about that and start learning from other places, and not just think that they know it all, which unfortunately is the case for some of these associations, when I speak to them, then I think from there on, we can now start to open up new markets, and we can start to benefit to everyone.
It's true that you say that, because a few days ago, I was in Grenada, and I managed to be having a conversation with this young lady who is from Canada, but she's of Grenadian descent, who's an athlete who is down here from Canada on warm weather training. Mm-hmm. And herself and her coach reached out to the Ministry of Sports in Grenada to tell them about and sent them a proposal of what they were looking to do. Mm-hmm. And she told me that no one even got back to her.
Not efficient. And that's not just Grenada. That's Jamaica. That's Trinidad and Tobago. That's Barbados. You name it. There's a lot of places, unfortunately, a lot of countries in the Caribbean that are just not efficient. And you see what you lose, right?
No.
So the talented athlete from Canada who's coming with a specific mindset, she's coming down there to train. You lose that from coming to your island. And then from there, what you can get is the kids can now start coming out and watching her and seeing how she trains. See, a lot of these
Absolutely
don't understand that. They don't understand that when you don't communicate, and you don't open that door for possibilities, it messes everything up in the rest of the country. So again, it goes back to changing the mindset of the Caribbean. It's got to change at some point. It can't continue to stay this way. It can't.
That's right. So through what I do, when she asked me what I do, so when I told her, she was in amazement, because this is what she was looking for. So now they're going to pair up with they're going to partner with the Grenada Sports and Wellbeing Foundation to create pathways and for them to come up to Carriacou in the next couple of weeks if COVID doesn't break out in such a big way. Herself and her coach will come up to Carriacou and put on a training session for a weekend, so that the young kids and the coaches here can see how it's done.
Fantastic. That's amazing. And good work again, Marcus. I mean, just doing outstanding work down there. So I want to thank you again for coming on to the show, and I'd love to have you on again as HTFC evolves and as the Grenada Sport and Wellbeing Foundation continues to evolve as well. All right. So I want to thank you again, and look forward to having you on the show again.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, Marcus.